Well, NewsCentral had its town hall regarding the Lagos elections from June 12th. And right now in the studio, we have our guest who will be having this conversation with us from the African Action Congress, the Lagos State chapter. We have Ayo Onika, who's joining us to have this conversation. Mr. Oni, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. So the dialogue has happened. Voices have been heard. What more can you tell us about the event that just took place only this morning?
Thank you very much. We'll start by appreciating the NewsCentral for putting this together. It is a good one, and one must commend them. There's so much to still be said, because obviously, the time cannot be sufficient. Someone mentioned something while we were having a dialogue that the media need to help, and I stated that the media help is what we are getting now. The media cannot help organize the people. It's the people that will organize them. And what I also found out is many political party chairmen giving up. I'm talking about 2027. We just had a sham for the election July 12th, just a few weeks ago, and we just want to accept it. We are not accepting the election. It should be cancelled. We went against all election guidelines that were by themselves set, and even the one in the federal law. And we are going to accept that as an election and just continue. When you accept, they continue all these irregularities and destroying the democracy that we all fought for. So we are not accepting this election. We are going to do everything legally, constitutionally, and politically to make sure that it is cancelled. Election has been cancelled in this country before, and local government election on July 12th would be cancelled.
Mr. Oni, could you please clarify? Now, you said a few members who attended that event were talking about the 2027 election. In what capacity exactly were they talking about it? Were they asking for people who feel this is disenfranchised to look ahead to 2027? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what they were saying, that, we cannot have this in 2027. We are saying we should not accept this in 2025. If we are not going to accept sham in 2027, it has to be determined on how you react in 2025, where you had an election where LASIEC officials were posting and stamping and voting for the APC in their mass number. Now we have video evidences. When you have an election where the LASIEC officer is still telling you cannot video you. What are you doing? Are you making law? Why can't I video you? Police officers saying the same thing all over the state about 13,000 polling units. Irregularities. So, chairman of political parties have to understand that they have responsibility to speak right for their people.
Now, Mr. Oni.
No chairman will be saying they are accepting the election. All chairman should be talking about cancellation of this sham that we had in July 12th.
Now, Mr. Oni, I beg your pardon, but let's talk about exactly what happened inside of the elections that's so disapproving by your party, that your party disapproves of. What exactly went wrong with the election?
Thank you so much. Now, you did a manual election, stating clearly that the LASIEC does not have the facilities of INEC, the beavers and the rest. So a manual election, the manual process, the first is that you paste the voters' registers at all polling units. In so many polling units, that was not done. The LASIEC officer just ordered some of the voters' registers, and they were checking it with APC polling unit agents. That's one. Two, they did not do accreditation in many of those polling units. When you cannot accredit and when you did not accredit, of course, any other people will come and vote. So people were voting with ATM cards, people were voting with cards that does not belong to them, people were doing multiple voting, they vote in this polling unit, they go and vote in another, and they were even mobilizing the northerners from different quarters in their hundreds, taking them polling unit by polling unit to go and vote. At the polling unit, the way they did the election before was majorly at the collation center. But this time around, they were confident enough to do it at the polling unit. Should we accept an election where just 500 people turn out and the result is becoming 5,000 as irregular and normal election? Of course not. LASIEC cannot defend this election. They cannot show us the accreditation that was done for 5,000 people at Ajeromi or 5,000 people at Kosisheri. Of course they cannot, but they produce 5,000 results for the APC. That is not an election that anybody should accept in the democracy. That is one. Two, there were multiple attacks of the oppositions. Not only that of the AC alone, but but I can speak to the one of the AAC in Ikosisheri. Our polling agents were attacked multiple times. There was a time the DPO of K2 rescued our candidate and the DD of our campaign from a particular polling unit because they were almost leashing them with cutlass and weapons. Why? Because they were standing against irregularity that LASIEC was accepting. So we had thugs invading polling units, making sure that elections are rigged. We had LASIEC officers accepting the elections to be rigged, and we have police officers sitting and making sure it happened. How can we now accept that as an election? This is a sham, and it must not continue.
Mr. Oni, if LASIEC, like you say, cannot verify this election, can your party, the African Action Congress, verify and confirm, maybe even with proof, some of these claims that you have just stated?
We have proofs, and what we are doing with them is one. Some of them are with our lawyers because, of course, we are going to use the electoral process, and we have also sent some of them to the media houses, like your media houses. We have sent some of your producers to use their evidence of multiple voting, evidence of voter party, evidence of cajoling polling unit agents, or even other political parties to take money so that they can reach their audio evidences of Inijego, Nikosisheri, in Oworo. Enough evidence. So, because we mobilized over 300 polling unit agents in 10 locations that we voted, and we set them all out to stand against irregularities, and many of them did their best despite the intimidation of cutlass and attacks. So we have these evidences. We have evidence of police officers also collecting bribe, where you have a video where a representative of the local government chairman is giving LASIEC officers 30,000, 20,000, and police officers 30,000. Of course, how we did not win election in that polling unit? We have evidences, and we make them available as requested.
Now, Ayo Onika, the grassroots is the foundation of democracy. Is it the electoral umpire or security, or what exactly? What went wrong on election day itself?
Thank you. So why we blame the security for standing aloof and folding their hands for irregularity to happen? We know that if the electoral umpire had done the right thing and stood for the right thing with the backing of the people, of course, there will be no irregularity. It's because they accepted it to happen. Where the security agency faulted is one, protecting thugs. All the thugs that came around to help win the election, the security agency protected them, allowed them to do it successfully. They have no interest in arresting them. You said you are not going to provide weapons to police officers at polling units, but you said you are giving them phone numbers to call for reinforcement. Why did you not call for reinforcement when they saw thugs invading polling units to rig the election and multiple votes? They did not. They just sat down because some of them have been paid and some of them were paid after election. Also, the thugs were moving around with keke and keke napep, this tricycle and a motorcycle from polling unit to polling unit. Even across the road, no officer stopped them. So it was free gallop. But who gets the large percentage of the blame? Of course, it is the LASIEC. The blame of the ruling party, which I call the ruling party at the dialogue, is that the machinery that engineered vote buying. They paid for vote buying, the ruling party, they paid for thuggery. The thug told those come out and start starting the election, they are not paid. But the LASIEC itself had a terrible process of poor training. Do you know, and I can tell you with facts, that ADOC officers have not been paid after 3 weeks of the election. They have not been paid, you can confirm. But they are silent. Why? Because majority of those ADOC officers are also APC members. I can send you statement from another officer who said that some people that came for training were not people that were sent to polling units. They diverted them. They were not properly trained. So when they got to the polling units, they were intimidated. They were cajoled. They allowed the process to be terrible. So of course, LASIEC take all the blame. But who are we going to also blame? It is the government of Babajide Sanwo-Olu that set them up. Babajide Sanwo-Olu employed this permanent secretary, these commissioners, and the chairman of LASIEC itself, Ikiolu, to do this job. He commissioned them, and he promised that they'll give fair and fair election, and here we are. they could not give it. So Babajide Sanwo-Olu is to take the blame. The Lagos State House of Assembly take the blame for not passing the law that was supposed to be amended and doing it in the back door. And like I said, of course, it's to blame for the sham.
Ayo Onika, I wish we could have a much more robust conversation on this. Perhaps we'll have to invite you over on another show so we could have a much more robust one. But thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.